gonna die. Hey, now I can have to stop telling you that too. So welcome, friends. It's another night of Red with Green After Dark. Slightly different setup tonight and a slightly different person here in Rowan's seat.
Rowan. Yeah.
No, not Rowan tonight. So I'm Erica Goodhouse, Conjuror of Birth Reclamation for Rooted and Director of Red Birth Green, a division of Rooted. And normally this is when I would say, and I have with me the lovely Rowan Jacoba. But Rowan is off this week, and so we miss her terribly. But I also have a special person to sit in her seat. This is the other half of the Erica Goodhouse equation. This is Jason, my husband. And so we're not talking about vaginas this week. And we're not talking about vulvas or vajayjays or anything like that. And he's very happy to not be in that hot seat.
Yeah.
So that might be a little bit awkward. That's not his area of expertise. But we are talking about another topic that can feel a little bit right now. And that is parenting in a pandemic. So I also want to give a shout out to apparently what is my Thursday night attire or Thursday day attire, because I looked back in some videos this week to link something, and I wear this pullover a lot on Thursdays. So thanks for sticking in there with me.
It's a good work outfit.
It's great for Zoom Thursdays.
Yeah, this is probably my Thursday, Tuesday, Monday outfit.
Yes, that too. So dads or male caregivers, like, you probably scroll right on by, like, oh, they're talking about hot stuff, but you should stay and hang out with us a little bit tonight, because we would love to have you hop in the comments with us as well, and kind of lend some of your thoughts to the conversation. So we're just going to jump right in. We started talking last week a little bit about the 5 protective factors and parental resilience and what that means and what that can look like in different ways. And we brought that up, one, to lean into more of the green aspect of Red Birth Green, right? So we've spent a lot of time hanging out in the red zone, talking about fertility, talking about body awareness, body literacy, all of those things, which is super necessary. And we will continue to do that as well, right? But the green space is all about flourishing families and thriving in the parenting space and in the postpartum space. And so we want to take a little bit of time to unpack that, because you've also heard me talk a lot about birth in the course of, lives on Fridays during the lunch hour with Rooted, and also a little bit in this space too. So we're circling back. We haven't touched on parenting related things really since February, when we talked about decolonizing parenting. And I feel like, again, leaning into getting prepared for another COVID summer as parents is feeling a little in the chest, if I'm honest. So I thought it might be great for us to have a conversation about that tonight. So here we are. Are you starting to feel more settled?
I'm getting there, I think.
Okay, fantastic. I keep telling him it's just supposed to be fun. So, yes, and we don't get to do this kind of stuff together very often. He just watches my videos and keeps the rest of the house quiet. So fingers crossed that that's an option tonight too.
Right.
So for you, like, when you hear the term, Jason, parenting during a pandemic, like, what's your initial reaction that occurs?
I think my reaction is it's different than a lot of people's. Even when I talk to coworkers, like, I enjoy aspects of it. I enjoy that we've been able to spend the last year at home, and it's actually been good. I think we've grown, and we've been able to enjoy each other's company, things that we haven't been able to do in the past, where I don't usually get to work from home. So there's been some good things, and I try and keep that really, in the front of my mind, because it's easy to go into the feeling of being trapped and isolated. But overall, it is really good to have that extra time that we normally don't get, and we may not get again in the future. So we enjoy it while we can.
Yes, I refer to that as the COVID gift, right? Like COVID gifts. And people think I'm nuts, because I really have found some things about living during this time period, because also we have a large family, right? Like, there's 6 of us, we have 4 kids. And so like, our house, I don't know if this is relatable for anyone else, our house was not designed for all 6 of us to be here 24/7, 365. That was not, like, it is ample space in normal circumstances. But that is, I feel like we've really pushed that to the limits a lot during the last year. We have little nooks kind of carved out, like, you know, I'm sure someone else can relate to the fact of like working in the living room. I work in our bedroom a lot. Jason loves this time of year now that it's nice again to be able to work outside, right? But I think one of the things that we've done really well is set the tone of expectation for how we're going to get through this time period together as a unit. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of communication, and we're also honest with our kids, which I think helps, because there's a lot of times where we don't know, and we tell our kids that, like, we don't know what the next week is going to bring. You know, whether it's changes with the pandemic or the weather or just the combination of things. You know, we can make plans, but we really just don't know, and our kids have learned that. I think it's an important thing that they see that adults really don't always know, and we can work together to figure things out. So, you know, when things change, I'm not always the best at adapting to that, but we get to talk about that and we get to figure it out as a family. And I think just being able to have those open conversations with our kids and letting them weigh in. I mean, we don't leave the decisions up to our kids, but we work to be on the same page. With that said, I'm fairly confident that our kids make good decisions, and we could do that. But I think a lot of that's come from modeling that communication and our thought process with them.
Yeah, we talk a lot. We talk so much in our house. Like, I don't know if there was a way to like keep a word count in the course of a day. I don't know, we might break a machine. And it's honestly been that way since our kids were small. And so like right now we have our age range of 9 to 15, halvesies, actually, they're all coming up on half birthdays. But parents of small humans, like this applies to you too. Talking is teaching, which our partners at Great Start Collaborative offer up a lot. And for them, it's usually in the context of literacy. But I believe that talking is teaching in terms of modeling behaviors and social skills and all of those things. Like, you know, if right now we walked around grumpy and irritated all the time, which full disclosure, that totally happens some days, right? We're supposed to do that too. But if we walked around that way all of the time, like our kids would be modeling that behavior back to us. I don't want to live with them like that. So I feel like I shouldn't show up for them in that same way, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's not always the easiest thing to do either, right? Because we're together all the time.
But
yeah.
it's taking those times to realize that it's an opportunity for our kids to learn and for us to teach. And, you know, I've heard people say over the pandemic, like, oh, the kids have missed out on a whole year of learning and teaching, and they've missed out. And I feel bad for the kids where that is the case, where their parents haven't taken opportunity to just talk to them and talk to them about anything, about whatever it is that's going on. You don't have to have a teaching certificate. You don't have to have all the answers, but just talking to them about, you know, what you're doing at work, why this is important. Hearing, you know, maybe I'll debrief after a tough meeting with Erica, and the kids can hear, like, you know, we get frustrated, or we've been able to celebrate a lot of things too. And those are all learning moments for them, and we're teaching in those moments. So it's good to realize that they haven't been without learning for a year.
Well, they've learned different things in the last year, right? Like, I think there's a lot to be said for academic learning, but there's also so much to be said for social emotional learning. Mm-hmm. And I think that this has been like a great exercise, a very long one, but it's been a great exercise in those different ways of being able to do that. You said something about celebrating, and I think I want to talk about that.
Okay.
Because I know there's a lot of cognitive dissonance that comes like with being in this time period, right? Celebrating birthdays in ways that look different, graduations, like new babies, all of that. And sometimes it can feel odd and almost a little bit awful to like express such unleashed joy, right? In the midst of such great suffering for so many other people. And so, like, how does that show up for you?
Ooh, that's tough because I'm not. That's something that I need to work on. So thanks for throwing me in the spotlight for that. But it's realizing that we have. I mean, we have a community here. We have, the six of us, and then we have other supports in other places that we can share those celebrations with, and it doesn't look the same, for better or worse. I could celebrate a birthday and not be stressed out because there could be a surprise party because nobody gets to come over, and that's great. But we can learn to connect with people in different ways that we would have never thought possible. And I think it um, helps the kids recognize where our supports are, outside of our house and within our house, that we are lucky enough to have that community with each other.
For sure. I think too, like, because I know obviously we are really, I feel privileged in that way, that we haven't spent the last 12 months alone, like double-edged sword, right? I know that some people, like, that is not their reality, right? And that is a whole different type of hard too. But I think, I just think back to like over the course of the year and how we have actually had to find creative ways to celebrate some milestones. We had a 13th birthday in there. We had a 40th birthday in there. We'll have another 40th birthday later this year. We have a 16th birthday coming this year. So like these things that normally would be like just a huge cause for celebration and gathering. And but also I think there have definitely been moments of relief and not having to lean into that. And I want to just give you permission to lean into that relief and be like, wow, it really is okay. And I feel glad that I didn't have to like plan a big thing. Because I think it's just that constant tug of war of like this actually feels really good, and I'm also sad that we're missing out on this opportunity.
Right. And a lot of that is about having boundaries and being able to say, whoever it is, we choose to celebrate something, but I want it to be like this. We don't, for some of our kids, it might be, I want to celebrate, but I can't handle the stress of all the people. So we need it to be us, or we need to break it down, or we need to have it all at once and get it done and over with. So, I mean, a lot of that is about setting boundaries, and we learn that when we celebrate, but then also just in existing together for more than a year, we have to figure out some kind of boundaries and let our kids know and let each other know that it's okay to need space, or even though we're here together, to still reach out, and you can still need someone and need to be in close contact with someone, more than just being in a house together. So it's trying to figure out that balance too, I think.
It is. That's what I call, those are like the mental gymnastics moments. Like, I don't know if anyone else could relate to that. I'm also recognizing at this point, it's become more of almost a mental marathon where you're just constantly moving pieces and strategizing and thinking and like, oh my gosh, what's next? How do I this? Who has what? Who needs to log in? Oh my gosh, I have a meeting at the same time. I need to get my second grader on for this. Like, all of those constant moving pieces are just exhausting. They're just exhausting. And I don't know, we're a home, I feel like I can say this, like we're a home that has like mental health stuff going on well before COVID. Like that was part of our life, right? Which is also exacerbated in a time like this. And so managing that as well, like, online therapy, trying to make sure that, well, actually recognizing, I think, oh my gosh, we had some really great pillars set up and now we don't have access to those. Now what? Like recreating these plans and like how we move has just felt, I don't know, sometimes it feels really weighty. Other times it feels like, wow, we're killing it at this moment in time. But sometimes it just feels like we've totally screwed everything up. And
I think some of it's been easier to say to be open and say, today sucks, or this week has sucked.
Yes.
I'm going to go to the store. We're going to get ice creams for dinner, everyone. That helps because it's just been rough for whatever reason, or, things have been rough, or, we've had a bad week and we need ice cream, or you can celebrate with ice cream. Ice cream is the answer to a lot of things.
Yes, it is.
But just to be open and honest, like our kids see that, and, we don't hide that we're frustrated or struggling. They see that, and we can say that, and we can say, this is a way we can help relax. And also, when we have therapy, we can talk about these things, and, encourage our kids to talk about whatever they need to. It's all just different parts of it, but we can, I think it helps everybody see really how they come together, and how each of those components is important for all of us to do when we're all in a house together. We still need to have that.
Yeah, for sure. So I keep having this thought that like comes in as you're talking, and then by the time you're done, it leaves. But I think I have it this time. So I want to talk for a minute about how important it is to acknowledge and hold space for the experience that our kids are having, right? Like we all have our own junk as adults, in the struggles and all of that with this, but our kids are going through this too in their own way that has nothing to do with us at all, right? And I think that that's something that's really hard to remember, especially if it's a day with a toddler where all they're doing is yelling everything, right? Like it feels almost impossible to remember in a day like that. Or if you have an infant who doesn't have words yet, and they're really fussy and crying and not sleeping, and you would love more than anything in the world to pass them off to another human being, and yet you are at home with them by yourself. And that's what it's going to be. Those babies are picking up on all of this too. And so, yeah.
Yeah, it's important to know that, or to remember that kids don't always have the language to express whatever they're going through. And I mean, even as adults, we don't have that language accessible all the time. So
absolutely not.
That can come out in different ways for kids, whether it's acting out, or retreating from things, or, more compulsive behavior, or whatever it is. And it's not necessarily about that particular behavior, but it's just their way of communicating something that they maybe don't have words for, that they're experiencing right now. And, it's important, as stressful and overwhelming as that can be. And I say this knowing that it's not just as simple as saying, my kid's having a meltdown. That's okay. They're just experiencing something. Like, that's not it's not that simple, but at some point to just remember, like, oh yeah, they're going through this too. And there are days that I would feel better doing that. So
there's so many days. It would feel so much better, right? If it was like socially acceptable for us to like pound around and just yell and like act a complete fool at a store because we don't like what's going on, that would feel so good. And so, yes, it's difficult to deal with, but also like it's theirs. And they're honestly, I feel like they're super justified in that, because it's so difficult for us to articulate this experience. I can only imagine what it's like in these small bodies, or, the bodies of our teens and tweens and young adults. Like, yeah, I spent a lot of time thinking about that. Granted, part of that is my job, right? And trying to create ways for us to show up and support all of you, to go up and, show up better for them. So that's part of the reason I think about a lot. But I don't know. I just feel it. I feel all of it right now in a way that I didn't 6 months ago, I think.
Yeah. And when you talk about kids and their feelings, like as parents, we don't have to have an answer or a solution for it. We don't have to necessarily fix anything. We can work on providing them with skills and tools, and and modeling how to do that. And that could look a lot of different ways, but but I think as parents, we can have a sigh of relief and know that we really don't have to fix it all. And by empowering our kids to work through it and show them some different things that they grow and develop by doing that themselves. We should be there and support them. But, it's just not, we just can't fix everything, unfortunately.
No, I think it's easy to get into that mindset that like, oh, I can take care of this. Like there's literally nothing we can do at this moment in time. There just isn't. So, so I want to shift gears a little bit. Talked a lot about like the kid aspect and like, how we can show up more fully, more healthfully.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. For them. Yeah. So let's talk about relationship, adult relationship, mm-hmm. like partnership. Because I feel like that's another area. Like I don't have any answers. Like full disclosure before we like open up this conversation. Like, oh, I'm gonna come like drop some great nugget. I don't know, possibly, but probably not. As if getting in concentrated like couple time date nights, that kind of stuff wasn't hard enough prior to March of 2020.
Right.
Then we got thrown this curveball, right? And so I would love, even if you're watching this like way after Thursday night, if you have like something that you've done consistently for date night during the last year, please drop it in the comments on this video.
And consistent could be like once every 3 weeks, whatever it is. Don't feel bad if you can't.
Or like every other month, whatever. Like seriously. But if there's something that you were just like, oh, this has been our go-to thing, it's given us a lot of like, so drop it in the comments, because I know there are people who will benefit from like just a spark of new idea. Like, hey, we haven't done that. Why don't we try this? Right. Like for us, we were never eat out. We weren't an eat out family. Again, 6 people, like it's not really a thing. Date night was always hard, really challenging to make happen. So I think we were pretty good at like doing the like after kids go to bed, like date night at home situation. Thank goodness, because we have obviously leaned into that. The other thing, at least for me, that I have really appreciated is when we're able to just go take a drive, just the two of us. Again, place of privilege. I know, because our kids are old enough that we can like step out for a bit and then come back, like without them coming with us and not needing a care provider to come in. Right. Yeah. But that has kept me sane, like simple act, but it's kept me very, very sane. What about you?
Yeah, it's good to go out and drive, or go out for a walk in the neighborhood, or even to just go outside. And if, again, we're lucky enough that our kids are old enough to be independent, but, I think about even when we had younger kids, if we can go out and and have some chairs somewhere and have a space for our kids to play, and we can just be right there and maybe bring a cup of coffee along or tea or whatever, and just
or wine or whiskey, let's be honest.
Yeah. And that's important. And it's, you just have to get those little moments. It might not look, for us, it doesn't really look like a 5 or 6 hour date night. It might just be a half hour here and there, but, we really try and enjoy those, whether it's a drive or even going to the store together without kids is really exciting. And
it's incredibly therapeutic experience now.
There's amazing things at the store that you never paid attention to before, but that's, it's just little easy, silly things like that are helpful.
Yes. I love that you brought up just going outside. Because I think for me, that's something I've always turned to. I actually love to shovel snow, like with a shovel, not a snowblower. And I came to that like for similar reasons. When the kids were really little, I could pop out, look, watch mommy out the window. You can still see me. Right. But I could have that time by myself in the quiet, and it was really rejuvenating. And I think because we're getting into the season right now of, nicer weather and things like that, to be able to go outside and set kids up or have them garden alongside you, that change of scenery, or change of space is what I like to call it. If you're feeling stuck, a change of space can be wonderful. Also, just add water. That works in any way, shape, or form. like you're feeling stressed, you hop in the shower. Kids are wild, put them in the bathtub or stick them in the shower. Warm weather, set up the sprinkler or get a little mini splash pad for home or a kiddie pool or whatever. Side note, Menards has kiddie pools right now. Like I know those were really hard to find last year. If you still need one, just saw a whole bunch there last week. So that's an option. But I think change of space or change of scenery and just add water have gotten us through and continue to get us through. Also, just add water can be hydrate for you and for your kids. Because sometimes the crankies come out because we're thirsty or hungry.
Right.
And I don't know. I think both of us, I want you to answer for yourself, but like I totally forget to eat sometimes right now. I get into the zone doing work, or if I have if I'm outside pulling weeds in the garden, prepping space, whatever, working on any type of project, I just get into the zone. And because it's bringing me joy, I'm like, oh gosh, like, why am I starting to get foggy? Oh, because I haven't eaten in like 6 hours, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah, or even just with work, I think, it was initially like, oh, we, get to work from home. That means I can eat and snack whenever I want. And a lot of times I do, but that also means that I might book my day so tight that I take that for granted that there is food there. So I put it off, or, it'll wait till later. I can do one more thing. And then for me, that snowballs really quick and might get hangry. I've been told. So it's trying to build that into your day. But that is, even something like that is like taking time for yourself, can be going to make something for lunch, or take your sandwich outside and just go walk around and check for the weeds again, and you get a little time in for yourself that way. It's, again, we don't have all the answers, and we don't do these things all the time or as much as we should, but yeah, those little things can help, because at this point, at 14, 13, 14, however many months into it, just
13?
any little thing that you can glean from somebody else to make your life better, or add a little spark or spot of joy is good.
For sure. I feel like this is a space like for idea sharing, right? And so we would be remiss if we weren't like, hey, here's what we're doing. What are you doing too? And again, it doesn't have to be like in this moment. It can be after the fact, to drop it there, because someone else is definitely going to come back and receive from that. Absolutely. So let's talk about fear and anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
This is a time period that is really easy to get caught up into, like in that cycle, of, because there's lots of unknown factors, right? Also a lot of inconsistency, where you might have one plans for something and then it has to change. It's usually out of your control. Reminder, COVID's the bad guy, not the other people. That kind of deal. Yeah. I don't even know, like I don't have a question. Yeah. I'm just like putting it out there to discuss.
Yeah, I think when I think about it and realize that, I get anxious about something, then I kind of also think about the kids, like, if I'm feeling this way, either they're oblivious to it, which is possible because they're kids, or they're feeling it and again don't have words to express that. So I think something that we do that's been helpful is take time to pause and talk. Like if we're feeling anxious about a change in the conditions, or what's happening, we can sit down as a family and talk through it. And some things we have control over, and honestly with COVID, I think we have control over a lot more things than we may have previously, where it's more acceptable to say we're not going out to do anything. We can't, because we can't go somewhere in public because it's not safe. And if we talk to our kids about that, and they are learning and saying, yeah, I don't feel safe doing that, and we say, okay, we're gonna just hunker down and be here. Or we can't go out to these places, but we can go to a park, and we can go walk. We can go to the parks that are quieter, or go the days and times that are quieter, if we need to get out. But just kind of letting them help plan and decide things, I think helps them to buy into that and feel a little bit more in control of things.
I would say it does. It definitely gives them a sense of control. And I would say it's not even a sense of control. It is control, right? The power of choice and the power to choose. Sometimes it might be choosing between two lesser choices, right? But it's a good lesson in creativity and in creative problem solving too. Yes, I really do look for teachable moments in everything. I feel like as I'm saying that tonight, I'm like, hey, it's lesson in this. But like that's kind of how my brain is wired. And it's how I practice that element of parental resilience that like, okay, like here we go. Not bootstrap mentality, but like really trying to look for just the brighter aspect, right? I don't know.
Or even just the honest aspect. Like we don't have to, again, our kids are old enough that we don't have to sugarcoat things. And we've always been.
We did that even when they were little.
Yeah.
We were honest to a level that was appropriate for them. So
right. That we could, we do that. And that helps. And sometimes, I think for some people that initial phase when you're trying to teach your kids, like it feels a little awkward, like, hey, I want you to come and see this. But I think for now for us, it's just normal. We just start talking and sharing things. And I think most of the time kids listen when they're around, or they pretend they do.
They are really, if they're just pretending, they're very, very good at pretending. Yeah. And I think that a lot of things are sticking because we're starting to see them seek them out on their own. So I think that that's helpful. One of the ways that we do some of the talking, a lot of times it's just, it's in passing, in the car, in between, like we don't have bath time at our house anymore because they do it themselves. But like, because kind of all of those like in between moments are really great times to like sprinkle in like, hey, how are you feeling about this? Or what's, at least that's my tactic. Mm-hmm. It's pretty effective. It takes the pressure off the conversation too. But I would say probably about every quarter in the last year, we've had an actual family meeting. Sometimes sooner if something has come up, but we've had a family meeting and they're goofy and cliche, and that's okay. But it's an opportunity for everybody to get on the same page again. We just had one this week to kind of set the tone because we're at a point of transition with a few different activities and whatnot. And so we wanted to just make sure that like, just do a check-in, right? A really concentrated check-in. But I will say it's not always positive. Like we had one a couple months ago because things were starting to get a little sticky around here. Like everybody was just real scratchy and like, ugh, to each other. I'm sure somebody else has probably experienced that in their home. And so I was like, nope, bring it in. Let's go. Like we're sitting down, we're talking about this. Like, listen, we have gotten this far. Everybody has remained healthy. We're pretty whole. Like our mental health is relatively stable. All the things. We are not falling apart right now, right? What do you need that you're not getting right now? Because that's that symptom situation. Is the behavior is telling us that something is going on underneath. We didn't have, again, we can miss things even though we're together so very much right now. We still miss stuff all the time. And so it's like in that situation, it's an opportunity to just say, we're here. Like, let's talk about it. Just like after dark on Thursday nights, like, nope, show up and we're going to talk about it. Like they're necessary conversations to have. Again, even if your kids are little, I think it's really important to have everybody come together and just be like, let's talk about our feelings, and not just like dinner table conversation, but like really set aside a time to go in and give everyone a chance to share. Really tough sometimes things have come up. Really tender things have come up in those conversations. For sure, where things that probably wouldn't have before. Big feelings have felt safe to come up in that. Where, if it's just on the fly, like over dinner or in passing, it might not have happened that way.
Right. And we give, and we can tell sometimes when, those things are right there and our kids need maybe a different way. Like that's, we can see that you have something to say or you've got some feelings. Would it help to text us? Why don't you get your iPad and you can text that right to us and we can communicate like that, or write it down or draw a picture. But we see that's there. We want to have that communication. that's okay if you can't say it right now or you don't know the words to put to it, but we're not gonna give up on each other and give up on this. So let's find a way to make that communication happen. And and it's important, and it's also important to give the kids that space. Like we're not, we're not the kind of folks like or kind of parents who would, you're gonna be in your room till you tell us what's going on. Like we don't work that way, and it can be difficult if that's something that you've done, and also very empowering for your kids and for you when you are able to give them that freedom to speak or not to speak or speak later.
Speaking later, I like the idea of that.
Yeah, and it's really important right now. Again, yeah, we're all in the house together all the time, and all we do is hear each other all the time. But when we take those timeouts to have a little family meeting, we're all actually focused on each other all at the same time. And I think our kids, they might act goofy and complain about it, but they all do come, and
they do.
They're all a part of it, and it helps get us back on the same page. It's not a guarantee fix, and I'm not going to say you can just snap your fingers and take care of it, but it helps. And the more you do it, I think it's been beneficial for all of us.
Yeah, I think so. I'd be curious. This will go up on IGTV tomorrow. I'm going to make our kids that are old enough to be on Instagram watch it and be like, so are we spot on or are we blowing smoke? They'll give feedback. So
look for them in the comments.
Yes, look for them in the comments if you're on Instagram for sure. My gosh. So as we wrap up tonight, let's talk about looking ahead to the summer. Because summer in Michigan is like this, we all wait for that a lot, right? And last summer was a little scrappy, a little touch and go.
Yeah.
What are you most looking forward to us being able to do this summer?
For us, I'm looking forward to taking some type of family vacation. And, I think we didn't really get to do much last summer. So even just a short camping trip will be exciting because we stayed close and wanted to stay safe. But we have some more tools now and more knowledge than we did. So, I'm looking forward to that. Just being able to go somewhere in the car together, go see some other place outside of this house, outside of this city, just for pleasure and enjoyment, not a trip because we have to. And that's a place of privilege. And, I understand that. So even, I think I would even take finding a new park, like in the city, like go explore something new. That's sometimes all you need is just a new site, but
change of space, right?
Yeah.
Change of scenery, change of space.
Yeah.
Yes. And also, let's be really honest. Your girl is antsy. I'm trying to go.
Yeah. Someone's tried to go everywhere all the time. Oceans. Ocean is
always calling my name, but right now I still have to keep my feet on freshwater sand. So, I think for me, yes, like new adventure. I feel like my brain is maybe not quite as weighed down as it felt last summer. I'm trying to navigate everything. It's a little bit more normal, right? It's the new normal. So I feel like I can get real creative in ways that I didn't feel like I could. Also, I joined Rooted's team last summer. And so like that was a point of transition. And I think that definitely made it a little more challenging. We did a little bit of exploring, but not near as much as we normally would have. So yeah, I think I'm just ready to create some adventures for us, some day trips.
And to let our kids be able to be outside with some of their friends they haven't really seen in a while.
Yeah,
because we know,
sure.
if these things are safe, that they can engage in, outdoor volleyball and hang out outside with some of their friends. And they haven't been able to do that. So, or haven't been able to do it while it's warm. So I'm looking forward to that for them.
For sure. I should have led off 40 minutes ago with the fact that we have had to be very, very tight as a family during COVID because of health issues that we have. And not being able to get concrete answers from medical professionals about how we should move. And so we have had to exercise extreme caution. So for those of you who that's not been your reality, like blessings your way that you've been able to engage differently. And you're probably like, what is wrong with these people? Like they're talking like we're a few steps back from a lot of people that we know because we've had to be. And so I feel like that's also a good place for us to be able to like talk about these things and how we have operated, because we're pretty restrictive, because there are no do-overs in parenting a lot of times, and this feels like one of those times. And so I should have said that a long time ago. I'm ready for some adventure.
Yeah.
A little, again, change of space, just add water. I think that's going to be the theme for the summer. Might make a banner. Maybe just turn it into a sticker. Ooh, that would be good. So talking about summer, segue, as we fully wrap up for this evening, is a great time for me to do all my plugs, all my housekeeping for us here. If you are not following us on our social channels, please make sure you're doing so. Obviously, if you're watching this, you already follow Rooted on Facebook. If you're not over on Instagram, though, you should absolutely head over to @Rooted, and definitely head to @RedWithGreen as well. Sign up for newsletters. That is how you're going to stay in the know with us this summer. Things are going to look different. There's just not a way around that. We are really doing our best to come up with some fun and engaging opportunities for you and for your small humans and your young people. And also for our people as families. That is really important to me. And so when it's important to me, I do my best to make it happen. Jason can attest to that.
Yeah.
Kind of come hell or high water sometimes, but that's my headspace. I really want families to be able to come together and socialize, because that's what Reclaiming the Village is about, even in a pandemic. So definitely subscribe to that newsletter. You can check us out at redbirthgreen.com/contact. Scroll down and you will see sign up for a newsletter. Not spammy. It literally goes out once a month. Same thing over at Rooted, or rooted.org for them. So you will find us in the community this summer. It will look different. We promise to make it as fun as possible. Right now, big on the idea of swag. So like if you find us in the community, you're probably going to get something, which is always kind of great, especially for small people, right? So you can look forward to that. Thank you, as always, for joining us for these conversations. Share them with your friends, invite them back. Thursday nights at 8:30-ish. Starting to lean into the ish phase of things because, again, COVID, brain fatigue, it's real, especially by the time we get to Thursday evenings. But we really enjoy sharing this space with you. Also, let us know if there's things that you want us to talk about, facilitate conversations. We are always here for that. Hit us up, send us a message, drop a comment. We would love to hear from you. So thank you for weathering.
Thanks for having me.
Yes. Right. Yeah. Deep breath. It's all good.
Good.
Maybe next time, maybe not till the fall, or maybe this summer live, we can have a conversation about like interracial marriage or like something.
I'm here for
nice and weighty.
Whatever. I'm here for it.
Awesome. All right. Thanks, guys. It's been real. Till next time. Yep.